Alrighty, everybody, welcome to We're Getting Naked. I'm Romanski, the host of your show, and today we have a very special guest, Tommy Gunn. Tommy, thank you so much for doing this. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Very excited to talk to you. So tell us what you do and a little bit of background on how long you've been doing this, and yeah, a little bit about yourself.
Sounds great. I am originally from Cherry Hill, New Jersey. I'm currently 58 years old. I'll be 59 in May, which is unbelievable.
You look great, Tommy.
Well, thank you so much. I started the adult industry, if you will, in probably the mid 1990s. And then what I mean by that is I did that male review dancing type of Chippendale stuff for about 10 years. And then based upon that success, I met a girl who was also a dancer at a nightclub in Florida, and she and I screwed around and had some fun together. And when she saw my abilities, I guess, for lack of better words, in the bedroom, she said, "Wow, you're fantastic in bed. You should consider making movies." And I thought, well, okay, what do you mean? I did want to be an actor, and I still do, and I enjoy the craft and those things. But she said, "You should make porn. You're well endowed. You got a great body and this and that, and you're good." And I said, "Well, that's an awful big jump there." She says, "Well, I've made a few, and if you ever want to go, and I'll take you." Like I said, we were living in Florida at the time. She said, "I'll take you to Florida, and you can rent a car, carry my bags, and I'll go out there. I usually go out there for about 10 days to 2 weeks, and you can come with me. I'll even pay for your way and the money that you'll lose by leaving your job to go with me." And
right.
So I did that, and then I just saw, wow, what amazing industry. I had been already so close, if you will, except for the one last garment that I had to wear was like this T-back they call, or G-string.
Oh, no, I had to wear one of those too.
Yeah, exactly. So in our business, when we dance for the women, so I just thought, well, I'm one last garment away from being naked and having sex on camera, which was still a big kind of a thing to take on, if you will. Right. So in 2000, she and I went out to California. I met a few people, of which one of the gentlemen's name was Brad Armstrong. He was a big director for Wicked Pictures, which was a huge company years ago. They're still producing, but not as much as they did once upon a time. Which was kind of like getting Steven Spielberg's business card and him saying, "Hey, if you ever want to act, just call me up and I'll introduce you to the business." Right. So I got this card, went back to Florida in 2000, and took me about 4 years to get the courage and to really think it through in order to realize that, if I do this, it's immortalized and it will always be for forever and ever on the internet. So
right.
When I decided to take the plunge, if you will, for lack of better words, I did it at 36.
Oh, wow.
And now I'm 22 years in the business. So it's been nothing but an amazing ride for me. It's great. It was like a small Hollywood for me. So it enabled me to take on acting roles where we got scripts, and just like the real movies, I would at certain times throughout my career in those 22 years, I would have 2 or 3 scripts that I've been working on and shooting one for this movie and that. It was really great because it satisfied my acting hunger, if you will.
Right.
But then there was a shift in the business, and a lot of things changed, like things do, much like the effect that the internet had on the industry. It changed a lot. And so,
oh my God, I've seen that. I've seen it since growing up too, and
absolutely,
yeah, I can only imagine what the late '90s, where there was no really internet. Yeah. To go into now, where it's like you're not popping a VHS tape in like I was, or a DVD. No, you're. Yeah.
So just to bring you up to speed, so now, present day, I won every award they can provide in the industry. I've been Hall of Fame in 3 of the branches of media, AVN, XRCO, and Urban X. So, I was kind of thought in my mind, well, is that the nail in the coffin? Is my career over when you win all those things and then you get and then you get Hall of Fame, and now I'm 30, or like I said, I'm 58, 59 in May. A lot has changed. There's not as many biggest productions anymore. So really what I would love to do is get back to my original plan, and that was I love to act, and I
Right.
love the opportunity. But along the way, unfortunately, what I faced was the stigma that the industry had, and sometimes mainstream would be a little less likely to cast someone like myself because of that, which I always thought was kind of shooting themselves in the foot, because now after 22 years of being in front of the camera for that many years, there's no denying that I have camera.
Just gonna say, like, they would. For me, I'm going like, why wouldn't I want somebody who's number one, getting in front of the camera. Number two, very comfortable with the way that they look.
Absolutely.
Obviously, has a great confidence, which is, to me, a lot of acting is confidence and charisma and knowing where to hit your marks, where to look, find the light. Like
totally.
You know all of that.
Yeah, I've been blessed to have that experience. So.
Yeah, no, it's funny. You said a lot of things that women have said about you that no woman has ever said about me. No one would ever have sex with me and then go like, "Oh, you should. You're really good at this. Yeah. You should pursue that." Yeah,
sure.
So it must have been a while just to hear that. And so your first movie, your first, I guess the first time you were like, "I want to do this."
Yeah.
You go to Florida. No.
I go to Los Angeles.
You go to Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And take me through your first time, like, you're on set. What's this scene? And, like, what are they asking you to do? And how do you feel about even, like, hearing that out loud and going, like, well, they're going to yell action soon.
Yeah.
Am I going to be ready to do this?
Sure. So basically what took place was, after I went out to Los Angeles with this young lady in 2000, I went back to Florida, got that guy's business card, and it took me 4 years to get the courage. But through those 4 years, I would call this guy every couple months just to kind of be like, "Hey, man, how's it going?" And he'd be like, "Oh, I'm on set right now, with Jenna Jameson or Sarah Patrick or these big stars.
Yeah.
You want to talk to him?" I said, "No, I'm just really kind of just calling to see how things are." He goes, "Have you decided yet?" And I said, "No, I'm still scared and kind of not very sure." And he says, "Well, when you decide, let me know, but make it quick because, you're not getting any younger." And I said, "Okay." So over 4 years, eventually finally after the 4 years, I was 36. I said, "Hey, man, you know what? I decided I'm not getting any younger where I'm at in my life. It's time to take the plunge." And he said, "Okay, meet me in Vegas. I'll take you around to the AVN Awards, which is our big convention and like our Oscars, if you will." And he said, "That's the best place for me to introduce you to everybody." So I went out there and he introduced me to the whole works. And the whole time he told me, he says, he kind of whispered in my ear and he says, "Just tell people that you've done some internet shoots." Meanwhile, I had never done anything. I had never had sex in front of a camera or in front of people with a camera or anything. So I'm going, "Oh." So he's introducing me to all the big stars, Jenna Jameson, Jesse James, Tara Pat, all the big stars. And everyone's kind of going, "Who's this guy? Who's the new guy?" So when I finally decided to take take action and do this, I drove from Florida. I quit my job, told my boss, "Hey, man, at the time I was turning wrenches, fixing motorcycles and dancing on the weekends." I told my boss at the time, "I've been considering this porn thing." And he goes, "You're really going to try it?" I said, "Yeah, why not?" He says, "Okay, good luck." I gave him my 2 weeks notice. I went out to Vegas. And then the guy said, "Okay, when it's time for you to do this first scene, I'm going to call you." He says, "So stand by." So I went out to an old girlfriend's house, sleeping on her couch, waiting for the call from this guy, Brad.
Right.
He finally calls and says, "Hey, man, I got you lined up for your first scene in this movie called Fluff and Fold." And Fluff and Fold is kind of a term based on a laundromat. It's like a service. You drop your dirty clothes
drop
off.
Clothes off, they fold them. And
pick them back
great,
up.
Great service.
Yeah. So he said, "I'm going to put you in a scene in this movie. And you're acting opposite of Randy Spears." So it was almost kind of like I said, Steven Spielberg hired me to work and do my first scene with like Robert De Niro.
Right. Randy Spears, by the way, great name.
Oh my God.
That's is that his real name or his porn name?
I think his name is Greg Duchel.
Yeah, way better than Greg Duchel. That's a great porn name.
So needless to say, there I was. And Brad says, "Now I'm not going to throw you into a full boy girl scene. That's a term, boy girl.
Yep.
I'm just going to give you an oral BJ scene where the girl's going to perform a BJ on you. I said, okay, fair enough. He says, I want to just see how it works. So what he did was, in the script, I play just a patron that shows up randomly into the laundromat, and I kind of got to use the bathroom. So I go over to the bathroom door. I put my hand on the doorknob. Just as I do, Randy Spears comes over, and he's got this hairnet on, and he's playing like a European guy, and in somewhat of a broken English accent, he goes, "Hey, sorry, you can't use the restroom. You're not a patron." So I'm thinking, oh shit, what am I going to do? So I take my shirt off. I open up a close by washing machine, toss the shirt in, and I go, now I'm a patron. And I go in to open the door, and he goes, you can't go in because now you got no shoes, no shirt, no service. He pointed to another sign, and I saw it. Shit. So there was a girl off to the side who was observing all this banter between he and I. And she notices that I'm getting some grief from him, and she takes this little tank top out, and on it says "sexy bitch," and it's this tiny thing you could barely fit in. She tosses it to me. I put it on, which doesn't fit at all.
Right.
And then I proceed to go into the restroom, and Randy Spears, in a huff, walks off. And then I go in and shut the door. And now she's curious, like, what's going on in there? I'm going to go tiptoe in. She opens the door, sneaks in, and that's where we shoot the scene. So Brad was smart in the respect as a director to put me in a room was only with my co-star and the camera guy.
Right,
and then
right.
The sound guy simply stuck the boom through the crack of the door. So it was only us three in there, not to be intimidated or distracted by a huge crew of other people on the set and whatnot.
Because it's one thing getting naked. That's one thing. Like getting naked.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
Yeah. Sure. You were already dancing. You're like,
yeah.
I feel very comfortable doing it.
Sure.
It's another thing. I mean, even getting a blowjob from your wife or your girlfriend is all you're already like, all right.
Sure. So here I was.
Wow.
Yeah. But instead of being in a crowd of 20 people on set, with the boom guy and the lighting guy and everybody, even in the periphery, not next to you, but still,
right.
would have been more intimidating. So he sticks me in this situation, and I basically just think to myself, I've done this before, because I have, right? We've all had, So everything goes good. We have no problems, and he says, okay, you did that part. He said, now I'm going to tell some other directors that you're good to go, at least for that. So the next job I got was a full boy-girl scene where I did a boy-girl scene with a woman named Mason Storm. And that was my first physical boy-girl scene, penetration, the whole everything.
Right.
And that was a bit daunting for obvious reasons. There I was again, just nervous and stuff. And so at one point, you can read this in my book, Unloaded. It's one of the chapters where we talk about my first time.
Yeah.
She kicks the director and the sound guy out and everybody. She's like, everybody out. I want to talk to Tommy by himself. And I said, oh, what's going on? What did I do? Screw up?
Right.
And she said, no, you're fine. She said, I just want to kind of like get in your head. I said, okay. She says, you're not paying attention to me. You're too worried about what's going on around you. And I said, oh, okay. She says, imagine it's just you and I on set, or just you and I on the beach. No one else around. We're drinking some Coronas and just concentrate on me. Don't worry about the camera guy. Don't worry about the sound guy. Don't worry about the lighting guy. Don't worry about nobody.
Right.
And I said, okay, because I was having problems. I was up and down.
Of course. Yeah, you're looking around. You're going like, okay, well, this is the big time. Yeah.
Here, I'm actually doing this, So once she set me straight there, I said, wow, okay, that's what I need to be realizing. It's got to be this connection with the girl and I. So I started to, for lack of better words, develop that focus.
Right.
Once I realized everybody's not here.
Right.
And again, you could apply that to a lot of acting.
Exactly.
You're not worried about this one over here.
No.
You can't do that, whether you're naked or not. So
right.
In this respect, I did well, and then I was off to the races running. One director would tell the next, the director would tell the other guy and said, oh, this guy's good. He can do it. And once I sharpened my teeth and got my footing and understood what was going on, I was off to the races. And then 1 year led to the next. I got nominated for Best Male Newcomer, which is like Rookie of the Year. And then in my second year, I got the big movie Pirates, which was a huge production, one of the biggest in adult history. Oh, wow. I landed that role as the villain, which was a great role. And that was opposite of Evan Stone. And then it had such an all-star cast in that movie that we even had a huge premiere at the Egyptian Grumman Theater in Hollywood back in the day. And it was just like the real movie. They showed it in a movie theater. They had the lights.
Oh, that's amazing.
The limo pull up with the red carpet. And it was unbelievable. I was literally thrust into this kind of a small Hollywood, if you will, yet enough to be satisfying in the respect like, wow, this wasn't such a bad idea, you know? And
then, you made it. You were like, I made it. You're in Hollywood.
And it's
making premiering your porn movie in a Hollywood screen on a Hollywood screen.
Absolutely, yeah. And then the next year, I won Male Performer of the Year and all these other awards, and that was my third year. And I did this all for lack of better words, before the age of 40 years old. And so I attribute a lot of my success to being an older guy, not a young guy in the business, because a lot of the younger guys, just in a general sense, whether it's the porn industry or anything you do, you don't have this life experience, and you generally make bad mistakes and choices as a young person. But you know.
And so, what was that like? Like, so you're on set, and you're required to have sex with this woman. Like, are you having trouble at all getting hard at the beginning? Or are you just going? Are you listening to exactly what Mason said? It was going like, just concentrate on me, number one, and then number two, like, how do you not come? Are you in your head too going like, oh no, what if I come too fast? What if I don't?
Of course. Yeah. So here's basically what a gentleman in the business has to do, his responsibilities as a male in the industry. Just to clarify, the women are the rows, the men are the vase. Together,
got it. Never heard that.
We together we make the whole thing, but the attraction is the women. That's the marketability. However, you can't make a woman look good with a guy who isn't good.
Right.
So she could be a top star, but you put her with a new guy and you got nothing.
Right.
You take an obscure, unknown girl who's pretty and beautiful and brand new, you stick her with a seasoned veteran male performer who knows what to do. It's kind of like him whispering in her ear, follow my lead.
Right. And like a dance.
Exactly.
Like a ballroom dance. Yeah.
He takes her and he puts her in these positions and he does all these things and she looks like fantastic. So that's basically always the analogy I always said was, sure, they're not here to see us guys on our own, but they're here to see both of us. And without a good male strong performer, you're not going to have a good scene. So to answer your question, as far as just to recap, I kind of go off tangents sometimes.
So do I.
Yeah, it happens. What was your question in terms of? I just want to get back.
You know, when you're like, okay, well, now I'm in the scene. I'm having sex with this girl.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so now what a guy has to do is there's 4 things that he has to do in order, and that is when it's time to go, it's time to get liftoff. You know, all right, Houston, we need liftoff. Right. And the director will say, okay, we're going in 10 minutes. So you start to mentally get your engines going. And then once you're up and about, you know, and you're doing this thing with the girl, you obviously don't want to climax too soon because then we got problems. So in your mind, again, we try to stay out of our heads because you know, your body follows where your mind goes. And if your mind seems to just wander off or get distracted or whatnot, then your body's going to have problems. So you got to know when you got to get hard, then you got to not have the fireworks yet.
Right.
Then you got to stay hard. And then when it's time for the fireworks, do it within at least, 10 minutes, a half hour at the most. Because
and does the director tell you like, all right, well, now we're ready for you to finish?
Yeah, exactly. So he'll basically kind of tell us, okay, here's what we need. Here's what we need. There's somewhat of a structure behind it. For example, when we're done the dialogue, we're done the lead up to it, and now it's go time. We're ready to go. We shot all the stills. Sometimes you do stills before, or sometimes they do stills as you go.
As you go, right?
Which is kind of disruptive because,
you get clicking and
well, not even
whatever.
that. Not even that. You get the motors running and you're kissing and hugging and doing the thing and stuff. And he goes, "Okay, cut. Let's get some stills of this position. Chick, 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 chick. Okay, we're done. Moving on to the next." A lot of times they would, and I used to like when they would do the sex stills before the sex.
Right.
Because it's kind of like a little bit of a appetizer, if you will.
Yep.
You can get, you can tiptoe around your co-star's, physical body parts and say, wow,
right.
and get, now you get your, okay, now we're doing liftoff. It's time to go. So, I used to like doing stills before that. But then there's always a lot of things you got to worry about, makeup and touch-ups and this and that. So there's a lot of things that go into play. Sometimes they let you just go in just to go at each other and do the thing, and they shoot it all with no cuts at all.
Right.
And the direct, there's a different style of shooting. But in this case, the four things the guy's got to do, like I said, he's got to get hard in a timely fashion, not have a climax, because then we got problems.
Right.
And then stay hard during this. The process, and then at the end, it's time to go. He'll say, "Okay, we're going to do maybe it's a facial, maybe it's we're going to come on the boobs, or we're going to finish on the butt, or finish
inside,
cream
pie,
yeah, exactly." So, and once you kind of get to know things and whatnot, I generally work like a chameleon. I got one eye on the director or the camera guy, because we communicate. Because he's shooting it, he's pretty much in the mix with us.
Right.
There's the three of us. The camera guy's right there, So I got an eye on him. I got an eye on the girl, and I'm waiting for him. And so beforehand, he'll say, "Okay, this particular," and this is always a good thing to know, because in the end, he might say, "This particular sex scene is a finish on the boobs."
Right.
And I go, "Okay, great." So one of the things you can do as a performer is, let's say, for example, and it happens, let's say, for example, you're in the mix, you're doing your job, and things are going, everything's flowing, all these, everything's hot.
The four things yeah.
But then somehow suddenly it feels too good, and that particular, it's like conditioning. I can't run 10 miles tomorrow.
Right.
But if I set out and ran a mile tomorrow, and then the next day build up,
2,
eventually
3,
I could get to 10 miles and be prime. So a lot of guys ask me, how do you last so long? And I said, it's conditioning. It's noticing that you're getting to that point, that crescendo where it's like, oh God, there's no going back. And if that does happen, like some guys, some of the younger guys who aren't knowledged, they get to that point like, oh God. And then they pull it out and go off camera and come.
Right.
Off,
you don't
and
get
and the director says, wait a minute, what the fuck are you doing?
Right.
But a seasoned guy listened in the beginning when he said, we're going to come on the boobs.
He'll know to come on the boobs.
He'll know, oh, it's too late. There's no coming back. He'll do the setup and he'll go to the breasts and finish there. It might not be timely because we still got to shoot the rest of the scene, but at least you got what they wanted at the end. So then you brush yourself off, you get yourself back together, you take a break, you come back in 15 minutes, you get up again, and then you finish out the rest. So to answer your question, it's tough, but through time and conditioning as a performer and just as a guy in general, you can sense when, things are getting too exciting.
Right.
Maybe you break that moment you might be in a position where it feels too good. You take it out, you go down and you do some oral on her, or you go up there and kiss her. Maybe you manipulate her with your hand. You do some stuff. You stay in the moment. You stay in character. You don't just go, oh God, what the fuck?
Right.
And then the editor's going, oh man, I got to cut that out. You know.
Yeah,
but if you
we can't
stay
use
in
anything.
the moment, it's kind of like improv in some capacity. If you're let's say you were in an acting scene, and maybe you knew the gist of the role in the scene, and you lost some sort of whatever in terms of your dialogue, but because you got a good, they call that, what do you got when you have a good instincts as an actor? Maybe you forget a line or two, but you can improv something.
You can improv something, stay with it, and get the other actor back on the scene, and then you can jump right back in. You pick up the dialogue again, and the director
you're back
says, in it.
Man, that wasn't even in the script.
You couldn't even tell.
That.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So in this capacity, it's kind of like a parallel to that. Things feel too good. You stay with it. You do a little something else.
Right.
You let that feeling go away, and then you get back into the scene, and you're going, and nobody ever misses a beat.
Yeah. No one even notices.
Yeah.
Now, before you do this scene, like you're saying, you're like, let's just say you're like, all right, well, you're having sex, and you're like, oh no, I'm gonna come. I don't want to do that yet. So you go down for oral. Is this something that you talk to the director and you talk to the actress before the scene? Do you go like, all right, we're first gonna start out. I'm gonna go down on you. Then we're gonna go up. I'm gonna kiss you. Then we're gonna go. Then I'm gonna, have sex with you from behind. Like, is this all discussed? Is this in the script, or is this again like is some of this improv as well?
Well, generally, they say, okay, here's basically the once we get out of the dialogue, we're into the sex scene. It's typically oral on each one. Whoever does it first.
Yeah.
Oral, 3 positions, pop. So you basically know that. And then you have a conversation with your actress, and you say your co-star, and you say, are there any hard no's?
Right.
What's going to get a fucking hard, like a record skip, and be like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And she might say, well, don't smack me in the face. Don't spit in my face. And all those things. And I think to myself, who would do that anyway?
Yeah, exactly.
But you never know.
Exactly.
So she might say, and then she'll ask me, are there any hard no's? I'm like, yeah, don't smack me in the face as well as. Don't squeeze my nuts too hard. If you want to play with them, be careful, obviously.
Yeah.
And then, in addition, she might say, don't touch my butt. Fair enough. I would never take liberties to do that. But once you kind of get that you get used to that regiment. That's why you have this little powwow in the beginning. The director says, talk among yourself, see what's
off limits, what your safe things are and what's not safe for you. Yeah.
And then a lot of times too, is that they might break because her makeup's getting a little flustered and whatnot, and they'll cut and say, okay, she runs off to the makeup chair and gets put back together in the middle of the scene. And then as a guy, you gotta get back up. Some guys, once they get up, they're good, but once they go down, you're screwed.
Right.
And I always thought, for me, I wanted to be a well-rounded, versatile actor and performer, that I always welcomed any type of disruption, or I didn't want to be one of those guys who said, I can only work in 70-degree temperature on a couch with 2 girls with big boobs. Otherwise, if they're blondes and they're brunettes, it's
it doesn't work.
Yeah, I wanted to be well-rounded in all those respects, where I just was like, hey, man, if a director asks me, can you have sex on the hood of this car? And I go, I can do it anywhere. The question is, can she?
Yeah.
Because we still got to consider her, obviously.
Exactly.
So I was blessed in the respect where I got to be such a well-rounded performer that a lot of the directors would put me up last in the scene in the shoot of the movie, and I would ask them. I go, "Hey, Robbie," and one director in particular who's no longer with us, rest his soul. he would put me up last, and I would say, "Hey, Robbie, I noticed you put me up last all the time." And he goes, "You know why?" I go, "Why?" He goes, "Because you're batting cleanup. Because
Right,
you know
right.
what that means? We all
You're the
know we're
best.
going home one time."
Exactly. Yeah.
And I said, "Oh," because I would walk on set later in the evening after all the scenes were done. I'm the last one up. And I noticed the crew is looking at me and they're giving me the thumbs up and they're high-fiving each other thinking, we're going home on time. We're not going to be here until fucking 3:00 in the morning while some new guy's pulling on his rope, on his rope and nothing's happened.
Yeah.
And, so there's a lot to take in and whatnot, and I've done that, and I was blessed in the respect where I was observant. I only spoke when I was spoken to. I listened. I took direction. I did all those things, and from that you manage to develop a good
rapport with everybody and get respect too. Like
people are, and most of the women, if not all of them, I never really had any problems with anybody that would put me on their no list. A no list is a physical thing that girls
I'm just
have.
going to say, that they're like, no,
like
thank you.
There might be that in mainstream.
Oh,
like,
there definitely
I just
is.
won't act with that guy ever.
There's definitely that, for sure.
So the only reason
I'm on a lot of those no lists. They go like, he cannot act. I don't want to be with that guy.
The only reason I would end up on a no list with a couple of young ladies was, and it was an interesting thing, was you look like my dad. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I can imagine if I'm getting ready to have a sex scene and a woman who looks like my mother comes in, I'm going like, I can't. I'm not going to be fucking my mother today. Sorry. My mother wants to fuck me. I'm not going to fuck her.
Exactly. And then another reason might be you're a little too big. And I said, okay, fair enough.
Again, Tommy, you're saying all these things that no one's ever said to me. So no one's ever been like, I couldn't possibly fit that inside of you.
You know what I mean? Right.
You're not gonna have a problem. That's hilarious.
Throughout my time and whatnot, I was blessed again with a great rapport. A lot of people. He's so easy to work with. We love you. A lot of girls would always be like, "Oh my God, you got to work with Tommy. He's such a treat. It's so easy. There's no, and I would show up showered and shaved and all those things. Whereas some guys show up after the gym and running around for 300 miles or whatever. And they show up and, maybe they didn't even wipe their ass or something. You never know.
I know. You're like, what the fuck?
And these girls are like, how am I working with this guy? But just in a general sense of all those things, I managed to be blessed and got it early on and realized this is how this works.
This is how it's going to work. If I'm going to keep working in this field, you just kind of read the room. Now there's like, is there intimacy coordinators like because
Absolutely.
when I was naked on set, I never had an intimacy coordinator. I've read articles. I've talked to some actors who some people are like, they're great. Some actors and actresses there's just recently some actresses saying like, I don't like it. It makes me feel weird. It takes me out of the scene. It's like my hand's going to go here. Like, I don't know where my hand's going to go. Like, I'm trying to sell that I'm in love with this, that it's passionate.
Sure.
So now you're on set.
Yeah.
Tommy, and you're working with intimacy coordinators. Like, how is that different than, like, just let's just say the late 90s?
Yeah, well, we all kind of can, I guess, take a step back and look at the landscape of the world and realize and notice when this whole Me Too fucking thing started.
Right.
And that was kind of the origin of this whole, we better be careful, and maybe there's a way to prevent any potential he did this or she did that or whatever by adding an intimacy and a coordinator onto the mix. But then, like you said, a certain actress or an actor might think, well, that's kind of weird, because now you're making it like, by introducing this particular individual to be on the set, it's almost like you're making it
it's very robotic. Robotic,
exactly.
Number one, and also it's like
you're losing the organic.
You're not really acting. You're going like, well, now it's choreography, which again, some of acting is.
Fair enough.
You got to do a stunt coordinator to do the fights, and And look, I probably think in the long run, it's a good idea. I think especially for the women, I would imagine
Sure.
in this too, like you're saying, some guys are, whether they say there's a safe word or I don't like doing that anyway.
Yeah.
They're in the middle of the scene. They're doing it. Whether they do it on purpose or not, they forget. There's someone there to go, hey, cut. Like, remember we talked about this?
Yeah.
We can't do that. And I'm probably the same for the women, I'm sure, where you're like, yeah, I said you couldn't stick a finger up my butt, and you just went and did that. I didn't want to do it. So I can see how it's necessary, but I could also see how it like fucks you up in a scene where you're going like, oh fuck, like I might, like you said, like now you're in your head a little bit.
Yeah. Now
you're going like, okay.
You got to navigate between these little boundaries or whatever, and that kind of. Well, imagine this. You got an actor and an actress on set, mainstream world, right?
Yep.
And we're about to perform this sex scene, and we're going to shoot it in such a capacity, and based upon the context of the story, maybe it's hard to put some of these boundaries or constraints on these actors and actresses that want to be authentic.
Right.
They want to be organic, and maybe that. I mean, you got to remember, maybe that character that this person is playing would have done that.
Right. Yep.
And if a guy and a girl, if you're putting restrictions on there, maybe they're not going to do that. And that kind of could get in the way of that authentic performance.
Yeah.
Because plenty of times in acting in the world, like we've said moments ago, is you go off script and the actor and the director says to the two, let's just do something you guys want to do.
Right. Do a little improv. Yeah.
As
that happens
characters.
and this happens in your world too, right? They
absolutely.
say like, do a little improv. Yeah.
They might say, okay, I can only get us up to the moment you guys kiss, and what you guys do is that's what you do for a living.
Right.
So have at it. Let's see what happens. And what I think is, it's much like capturing two wild animals in the wild setting, doing what they do.
Right.
As a cameraman or a photographer, you have to be quiet and tiptoe around and get to the place where you can watch these two people do what they do in this organic, natural sense. Right. You don't scream and holler and jump up to the rhinoceros. Hey man, I can't see what the fuck you're doing. Right. And next thing you know, they run off, and there's that shot for the elusive white tiger you're never going to get again. Because you're, so there's a bit of that I think is, you got to capture that organic, authentic moment between two people. Like I said years ago, it was just boy meets girl and off to the races, and let's see what happens. But then that whole, and again, I agree with consent and all those things, and conversation and communication.
Yeah, those are important.
To the utmost, absolutely. Yep. But then I put some restraints and some kind of whatnots on something. You might not get what could have been, wow, what was that? Right. And then, because I've had plenty of girls in my career, and even myself, where we get into a scene, the director says, okay, what you guys do is up to you because you're the professionals. I'm not, I'm just going to capture it.
Right.
And then 45 minutes straight with no cuts, we all pop up and we're like, the guy's like, that's all I need. And we're like, man, where did the time go?
Right.
We got so enthralled in each other, literally like two snakes, whatever, that we popped up and we were done. They go, okay, now we need the pop shot. And we look at each other like, and she goes, man, wow. And that happens too in a sexual moment. I'm sorry, it does. You can't.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
You start putting boundaries up and whatnots and stuff.
It starts to take you out of it.
You're taken away from the art.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's an art.
Yep.
Some people might not consider it, but
no one said it's art when they do it with me. No one goes like, that was a work of art.
But you know what I mean.
Of course. Okay, so what is? Because whenever I watch a porn, I'm going like, oh my god. Sometimes I'm going like, that's the fucking worst angle ever. I
know. Yeah.
And I'm going like, oh my god, is he seeing this? Is she seeing this?
Yeah.
Because when I'm on set and I've done like these nude scenes, I see some of the angles and they go like, "Oh, we're gonna black that out, or we're just gonna cut that out."
Yeah, later.
We don't want to show the bad angles unless
Yeah,
it's most of the stuff I'm doing is for comedy. So they're like, "Yeah, are you okay with?"
Sure.
Do you get to like? You see the end result? Do you go like, "Oh, I hate that angle"? Does she get to go like, "I don't like that angle," or is it just like you're so comfortable? Are you so comfortable with yourself back then and now, Tommy, that you're like, whatever happens, it's part of the film, part of the film.
That's pretty much it. We never, we never had any, I guess, okays, if you will, from the producers and whatnot to say, if you want to come in and see the final edit, let us know as an actress, if you're an actor, if you're okay with it or not, because your agent says that's the only way we'll be involved. And we don't get any particulars like that. If anything, we might be able to see something in a moment there if they're kind enough, because now it's all digital. Okay, you want to see a play?
Right here. We'll just email you a clip. Yeah.
Or not even that. We could just show you right now. Oh, that was cool.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
But I do my performance, and it's
right.
I abandon it and I go, thanks, and everybody, and they pay us and we go home.
Have you done? Yeah, you're like, okay, thanks for the check. No, have you worked like, or even seen, like for example, like a Latin American porn, and is that different to you? Like, have you been in a Latin American porn or European porn, or is it different to you than like an American one? Like, as far as like what people like to do, how far people go, the comfortability with the crew, like, have you noticed like a difference working with different people?
There are some differences. Yeah, absolutely. American, I want to say, there was a reference years ago, like American porn is how do I explain this? Like American performers, guys, if you will, or whatever. Let's just say that European guys, they're lovers.
They're
lovers.
Yeah.
They're lovers, and they're
especially
this,
the
and
Latin guys.
Here,
the Latin guys.
It's all right here, and all those things. And then the American guys are just like,
yeah, exactly,
machines. And what worked for me, and my experiences from performing in different parts of the world and different actresses and companies and stuff was, the difference and kind of, being able to bring my version of what I developed in the way I performed and stuff was, I don't know if it was more American or more European or more anything or less than anything other than what, that was reference. I've noticed it, culturally. I think the Europeans like to break and have some eat. We're gonna mangia, we're gonna food, but as Americans, we're down to it.
Yeah, we get through this scene. Yeah, but I want to take time out to eat some ravioli.
Whatever. So there's definitely some of those differences. You can see a lot of differences in the European women and the males. And so culturally, there's some differences and stuff, and but I think we that type of thing we see. It shows its face just generally in society, the way it manages to, I guess, spill over in the adult, the way they perform and produce what they do is, you can see some of those differences there. So.
Yeah. Now, have you been in relationships where, people have seen you and has that helped you, or do people, if they haven't seen you and they find out, do people care? And do you think it got less as you got older, or less just as in time? Because, with OnlyFans out there, like me personally, like, and most of my friends, like, sometimes my friends are like, oh no, OnlyFans. And I'm like, dude, who gives a fuck? Like, nobody, to me, I'm like, I don't care if you're on OnlyFans or not on OnlyFans. Like, if that's what you're doing for your business, great. Are you hurting anybody? That's all I want to know. Like, is anybody getting hurt? Are you actually hurting somebody? Like, other than that, it's like, it's none of my business. So if that's what you want to do for work, you do for work. Like, I think the stigma, and again, this is more of a question. This is my opinion, but I wanted to ask you. I think the stigma is slowly going away.
Sure.
Of whether you're in,
a sex worker, so to speak, if you want to say that.
Right. What do you think? Do you think it's like gone away, or do you think because you're naked doing a sex act, or you're naked in general, do you think it's gotten better since the 90s or worse? Like, what do you think?
Okay. Well, if we go back to the earlier days of the adult entertainment, the adult world, in the
Right.
70s, that was the golden era.
Right.
The John Holmes and the John Leslies and all these bigger, even, use his name, Ron Jeremy, Christy Canyon, these were the golden age. And these Steve, Herschel Savage, and, these were actors.
Right.
They were stars. They were actors.
Oh yeah, no, that was the first famous person I saw. Yeah. And I said famous was Ron Jeremy, and I was like, that's the first famous person I saw. And I'm like, yeah. I considered him famous.
And that once upon a time, worldwide, there was only maybe 200 adult performers on the planet who did those things, who made those movies. So they were hailed as, and a lot of times they were actors that were pursuing acting in mainstream. Right. And maybe there was some shortage of work or whatnot, and they saw that there wasn't a shortage in this business. And all they had to do really was still do the acting, but then go that one last step and do the scene. Right. And they were actors. So then through time, just by virtue of technology, the digital camera was produced. And a lot of times they used, our industry was a proving ground for this technology to be used. Right. So, the beta cam and the digital cam and all that, next thing you know, you can do it without being using film. So now you had this development of anybody, not to say anybody, but more people
could
film this stuff. So it grew, and it exponentially grew to the point where now, with OnlyFans and the technology and the phone and the internet and the Wi-Fi and the whatever, people shouldn't blame the business. You should blame technology on some of the reasons why a couple in the Midwest, married couple, can make their own content at their own leisure.
I don't see any problem with that.
Who are we to judge what someone else does?
But I think a lot of times it is like, I think there's a stigma to it. And I was just like, I wonder if Tommy thinks that it's gotten better or worse since you started. Do you think it's gotten better for now? Like when you tell somebody and you're out in the world and says, "Oh, what do you do?" and you tell them what you do, they give you less of or now they're going like, "Oh, cool. Like you're doing OnlyFans. Where can I see you?" Like,
right. Well, here's what I think's happened. I think it's gotten, as my career went from, like I said, I started 2004. There was some. At the latter part of this real big heyday, I kind of caught the ass end of it. And then the world changed around it. So now we see a lot of this. There'll always be religious groups and governing bodies who change their names or whatnot in order to come and attack the business and say that it's destructive to society. It's bad for the children. And what I never could understand is, what do children have anything to do with the adult industry?
Yeah, no, I know.
Like what the fuck? Why are we even saying, "Oh, it's horrible for the children"? Of course.
Yeah, no, they're not supposed to be watching this. Yeah, no, it's not for them.
Movies.
Yeah, exactly.
What the fuck? It's kind of like saying, you really, like, here's a for instance. Maybe I get off track. Maybe I come back to that. But
that's all right.
You really want to talk about something that's destructive to society, and it's everywhere. In fact, it's promoted every fucking commercial, football, baseball. This is alcohol.
Right. Yeah.
If I had a choice, and I had kids, young children, and they were going to somehow stumble across a few of these things, which would either be a nudie magazine, a weapon hidden in your dresser, a flask of alcohol hidden some drugs, or whatever, I would say I'll let them find the nudie magazine.
Right. No,
That's not so terrible. You know, maybe
No,
they get
it's
some
just
anatomy.
yeah,
They
yeah.
get some anatomy.
I mean, look, that's what all I look for. I go
Yeah.
to my grandfather. I go to my grandfather's room, and I was like,
Yeah.
I was the oldest grandson.
Yeah, exactly.
I found his penthouse, and I was like, oh
Wow.
my God, this is
I
amazing.
love this shit. This is great.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's all you look for as a kid, you know, like
Yeah.
it's just your body. It's look, it may be in some positions doing some things that you haven't seen before, but like it's natural. The alcohol,
Is
the
the
drugs, the weapons. It's fucking the
Oh,
worst.
my
You
God.
find a gun in your dad's drawer. That's way worse than finding a porn magazine.
I'm telling you.
You know?
So, so to answer your question, is it more, do I see it? I think whether it's more or less, it's kind of a different type of thing. I think people are more open, society in general are a little more open to the fact that, guess what? We as a human race, we enjoy sex. And would you go figure to see people doing it and
Right.
watch them under whatever kind of context or pretenses or whatever, however it was produced and developed and made, there's some sort of like genetic DNA thing that we gravitate to. Sex is a very intriguing thing, and we're all interested in it. There's two types of people in the world. As long as your blood flows and you breathe in and out and you have air, you're going to desire sex. You're going to either want it, you're going to be either having it currently or wanting it all the time, desiring it. Because as long as you can see and you're a human being, you're going to be gravitated to wanting to, how do we as a human race, male and female, see our opposite sex in a daily basis setting?
Right.
I'll tell you how we see it. As a man, I go out in society and there's a hot girl and my body and my eyes and my notices it because that's the idea. That's how we're designed. We're wired that way. Same thing with a woman. I see it all the time. I go out in society, a woman, I notice, I catch eyes with her. There's some like body posturing that takes place that if you look for it, you can sense it. If you catch eyes with a woman, then she immediately turns away. She thinks you're attractive.
Right.
We know that. Or there's a little bit of something going, I see it all the time. I'll see a woman, she'll look at me, she'll look down, probably at my package.
Again,
you too as
no
well.
One's doing that. No one's looking at my package.
No,
they're looking for it, not at it.
No, that's not true. You understand what I'm saying? And
yeah, of course.
That's how we're hardwired. We're hardwired to that. And a lot of that's changing with a lot of the changes in society and the world. They're trying to get away from the fact that there's even male or female at all.
Right.
That's a whole nother conversation.
Conversation.
Why are we fighting this? Like I said, desire is something we always will have. And, that's kind of like the little secret whoever it is upstairs made for us, and that was he made it feel good. He made it feel good so you would seek after to do it and make more people.
Yep.
Now, again, there's a whole nother conversation about sex out of marriage and wedlock and all those things, and it's a sin and all this, what the fuck, and this and that. When did that all start? You think cavemen looked at each other and go, well, I really want to have sex with that girl, but
I gotta wait till we're married.
We're married.
Yeah.
Anyway, again, many more conversations to go in different places. But is it getting any worse or less or whatever? I think we're making advances.
Yeah.
I think we're to a point where society is getting more understanding that, hey, people have sex and people want to do it, and sex sells. You see it on commercials, you see it on TV, you see it in music videos, you see it in the world.
It's a billion-dollar it's billions and billions of dollar industry for a reason. Yeah.
You know what? What makeup on a woman is made to do? Emulate her in an orgasmic moment.
Right. The blush.
Rosy cheeks, full lips. That's what
Never
takes
thought about
place
that, Tommy.
scientifically after a woman has an orgasm. That's what happens. So all these women are putting all this stuff on as like a a way to, I guess, not trick a guy into thinking she looks like that, but to encourage that look among, and then you got cologne and all these things, and we dress up, we do all these things. Did you know that the root of every guy's confidence, at the root of every guy's confidence, if you really look deep down inside, is his ability to perform sexually?
Yeah. I mean,
really.
they guys think about sex. They think it's like, I don't know. And again, we'll fact check this.
Sure.
It's got to be 10 times more than how often women think about it. It's on our minds constantly. Not that it's not on women's minds either.
Yeah.
But it's on men's minds constantly.
Because that's nature. The guy goes out and impregnates the female form to make more people or animals or whatever the fuck it is. That's why the lion goes out, and in the course of a day, when all the lionesses are in heat, he goes out and fucks as many as possible.
Yeah.
To procreate and make the
seed.
species. So anyway, again, if you know anything too about the background of my documentary, Fans Only, I'll speak about that for a little bit. Fans Only it's a documentary that sheds more of a positive light on the business and more of a light that says that there is a stigma which is perpetuated by what society has been programmed to think, oh, porn is bad and all those things. But yet, it's such that particular action between two people is necessary. The fact that we've introduced the camera and we made it as a form of entertainment to other people
in a business,
is I can't understand that. You might not be in the business as a performer, as a sex worker in those fat capacities, but you as a human being, you as a woman and a man, you desire sex. So is there two types of sex that we're having? Like there's one type of sex that's okay, and it's allowed because it's between two married people, and it's only missionary with the lights out. God forbid you have a good time and moan and groan. That would be bad. And then there's the other sex that is, that's carried out between two people that really just enjoy each other and are looking for a little connection or a little energy exchange, because that's really all sex is. That's what everything is on the planet, energy exchange. The energy from the sun shines on a plant. It receives the energy. The plant grows. The plant grows big enough, and here comes a rabbit and eats that energy, and then that rabbit gets big enough, and then here comes the eagle, and it swoops down and grabs that rabbit, and all those things, and that's the cycle of life.
Yep.
And that's some real deep shit too, right there in the scope of things. But Fans Only tries to challenge this perception and the stigma of whatnot, and say it's like this: relax. It's just sex.
Yeah, no.
What's the big fucking deal?
I couldn't agree with you more, Tommy. Here's one of my last questions, Tommy, because I always find it so interesting. Tommy Gunn.
Yeah.
Again, great name for the business. Great name for the business. Did you come up with that?
No, I was actually given that name because back when I was in my mid-20s, I realized that girls like a guy that works out. Right. It wasn't some profound.
Right. It wasn't an epiphany. You're just like, oh, I see what's going on here.
You know what I'm saying? So once I did, I thought, okay, I'm going to start working out. Anything to attract more girls, right?
Right.
Where's the harm in that?
Yeah.
If we really want to dig deep, there's some human, biological shit going on there. Like how, so, and again, that's what we do, right? We want to attract the opposite sex. I don't care who you are, blood flowing through your veins and you're breathing in and out. You want to attract the opposite sex, period, no matter how you do it.
Right.
So I started working out, and one evening I ended up at a club called the Coastline in Jersey. Big nightclub. And inside was a bartender, a friend that I knew, a guy. And I managed to, been years since I had seen him. I end up standing in front of him, and he goes, "Damn, Tommy, holy shit. Haven't seen you in ages. Wow. Look at those guns. You must be working out." And I go, "Yeah, I am." He goes, "You should use it. You should be Tommy Gunn." And I thought, wow, that's a cool name.
It's a great name.
And at the time, I was dancing, and I thought, there you go. I'll be Tommy Gunn. So I decided to keep Tommy Gunn after the dancing and take it into the adult world. And then
Right.
the Rocky movie came out. I didn't take it from Rocky. I was before Rocky movie. But
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah, no.
they used that reference in the Rocky movie, and then so that's how I was kind of, if you will, coined for the moniker of Tommy Gunn.
It's a great name. When we were talking to Brian, I was like, "This is the best name ever, Brian." Tommy Gunn.
Yeah.
It's greatest name
yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
Well, Tommy, thank you so much for being on here. It was so cool to talk
absolutely,
to you.
man.
Like I said,
Likewise.
talking to people about this, talking to all different. We talked to an Italian intimacy coordinator. I've talked to an actor friend of mine. We're talking to a bunch of other people that have either been naked, been on set with naked people, or just like I'm talking to my mother about it because my mother has way different perspectives on this stuff too.
Absolutely.
So does my brother. But it's cool to talk to people that are totally fine with not just being naked, but just like whatever, as long as no one's getting hurt, like you're saying, it's like
Nobody's
it's natural.
hurting, yeah.
No one's hurting anybody. I love it. I love your perspective on what it's like being in the industry, and sounds like a very positive experience. So, thank you again for being on We're Getting Naked,
you're
and
welcome.
really appreciate it. Join us every Tuesday for new episodes of We're Getting Naked.